I'll be honest. I don't know that the internet is ready to talk Star Wars again, but selfishly, I really want to do it. My name is Ren, and today we're discussing the first 3 episodes of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Welcome back, Star Wars family, and thank you for joining me to discuss a brand new Star Wars show. It's always a wonderful time on the internet whenever a new Star Wars show or movie comes out, isn't it? Four children who make a mysterious discovery on their seemingly safe home planet get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy. Finding their way home and meeting unlikely allies and enemies will be a far greater adventure than they ever imagined. And as the intro and title for this video suggests, I've only seen the first 3 episodes, so there will be no spoilers for Skeleton Crew here. There will be no final grade for the overall show of Skeleton Crew because I've only seen the first 3 episodes. What this video is me sharing with you all my overall thoughts and general first impressions from these first 3 episodes. And like most of these Disney Plus Star Wars shows, Skeleton Crew is off to a really good start. It's crafting its own distinct identity so far. It's expanding the universe instead of shrinking it. As soon as the show begins, you're watching something that has an entire different tone and feel to everything else that is not connected to the Jedi or the Mandalorian or ancient Sith stories. It's completely detached from everything else that we've seen, and that is exciting because that is new. We haven't had anything new in Star Wars in such a long time. And if you enjoy films like The Goonies, which I don't, or E.T., Stand By Me, classic 80s coming of age stories, this is that story in Star Wars. And that just put a huge smile on my face. It has a sense of awe and wonder that you can only get from a story that has the perspective of young children. And that's exactly what this story is. These are children that grow up in a galaxy filled with heroes and great stories and evil empires and rebellions that fight against them. And they all see those stories and hear those stories and want to be part of them. And if you ask me, there is nothing more quintessentially Star Wars than that. The show is able to capture that feeling and evoke those feelings and those memories and that nostalgia in the right ways immediately in the first episode, which is the weakest of the 3 that I've seen, but we'll get to that in a bit. All of this to say that while what I just described is the show itself, the cold open threw me for a loop. Because there is a cold open in the first episode, and it's dark, and it's menacing. It's space pirates invading and taking over a ship for loot, and they're all menacing looking aliens. An evil, badass werewolf guy. Most other people are aliens, or they're in masks, or they have all these cool suits. And then you cut, and you have this whimsical story about children wanting to be Jedi and wanting to travel into space and not be bored at school. It tells you these are the 2 distinct identities of the show. They are 2 halves of the same coin, because into episode 2 and 3, you get more of that morally gray area where you're exploring stories of space pirates and you're hanging around scoundrels and people who should not be trusted. And one of those people is Jude Law's Jude Nanawood. One of the stupidest names in Star Wars, but I kinda love it. While yes, he is a Force user and there's a lot of mystery revolving this character, he is a scoundrel. He is a selfish, self-centered guy who is not your traditional hero at all. He is not a role model for these kids. He is the closest thing we've gotten to a spiritual successor to Han Solo since Han Solo. Despite being a Force user, this man has much more in common with Han Solo from A New Hope than he does with any version of Luke Skywalker or even Anakin Skywalker. This is not your traditional hero. This feels new. This feels exciting. And the cast works really well. Jude Law has great chemistry with all these kids. The kids all have their lively personalities, their distinct dynamics within the group, and you can see the strengths and the vulnerabilities they bring to the group as a whole. And other than that, despite some great sequences, great space sequences in the ship, and Nick Frost plays an awesome droid in this. I didn't even know it was him. While the show does plant a lot of seeds that could be interesting for the storytelling going forward, what I feel at the end of these 3 episodes is a treasure hunt. And I love Star Wars, I love heist movies, I love Treasure Planet. This has a lot of Treasure Planet vibes. One of the reasons I enjoyed Ahsoka more than most is probably one of the reasons I'm going to enjoy this show a lot as well, because it has all of those vibes. Children being dropped into a world where not everything is black and white, good and evil. It's a quintessential coming of age story. It is a quintessential Star Wars story, and so that is exciting. I don't know what the show's identity is beyond those surface levels, where you can see what the show wants to do, you can see the show's intention, and it has an incredible lineup of directors, from indie darlings to Disney slash Star Wars veterans to Oscar darlings. We have the Daniels, we have David Lowery, who directs episodes 2 and 3. We have John Watts, who directs episode 1. Like I said, the weakest episode, but not because of John Watts. But overall, this show has a distinct vision for itself. And from the John Watts episode to the David Lowery episode, you can see a distinct feel to it. It moves differently. It tells its story at a different pace completely. And so I'm excited to see what the rest of the directors bring to this show. Why is episode 1 the weakest though? I just have no desire to see so much of our reality in Star Wars. And because episode 1 is spent on these children's home planet, following Wim, Fern, KB, and Neil, who is adorable. And so while you're getting to know all these characters and see how their lives are on a day-to-day basis, it feels small scale in a good way, where you're watching a slice of life kind of story before it becomes something so much bigger. But you see suburbia, you see downtown, you see apartment buildings, you see a school bus that instead of going on wheels, it just levitates. You see so many cars. Instead of going on wheels, they just levitate. You see an old lady walking the dog around the neighborhood. And that's why the rest of the show makes me excited, because we're not on this planet anymore. In fact, there's so much about this planet that is intriguing for the rest of the show, because you have a coming of age story, you have a space adventure, you have a treasure hunt, you also have a mystery regarding where these kids come from and where this planet exactly is. You also have a ton of mystery revolving around Jude Law's character and who he actually is, and can this dude be trusted? In fact, can the droid be trusted? The direction is promising. The writing builds an interesting concept, an interesting premise for something we have not seen before in Star Wars. But I don't know with Disney Plus Star Wars shows. But as for the first 3 episodes, they deliver something promising, they deliver something different, while at the same time being something that is so quintessentially Star Wars. But those are just my first impressions, my overall thoughts on the first 3 episodes of Skeleton Crew. So now it's time for you to start the conversation about it in the comments below. Are you excited for Skeleton Crew? Who do you want to see show up in this show, if you want to see anyone show up? And whose episode are you most excited to see? Anything and everything down there. If you're enjoying this review, there's many more like it right up here for other Star Wars shows and movies, as well as many movies this year. Or if you just want to stick around to talk more movies and TV with me, this is the place to be. Consider clicking that subscribe button, and you won't miss any future conversations on your favorite movies and TV. Skeleton Crew sees Star Wars find a sense of wonder and whimsy that echoes the work of Lucas himself. 3 episodes in, it is clear the show still needs to find its identity, but Jude Law's undeniable charm and his chemistry with the young ensemble bring this galactic treasure hunt to life. And that is my very safe, non-spoiler discussion on the first 3 episodes of Skeleton Crew. Thank you so much for watching, Star Wars family. Stay tuned for any future discussions on Skeleton Crew, hopefully by the time the show is over. Let me know which character are you most excited to see in the show. And of course, stay tuned for many more videos coming very soon, and I will see you in the next one. So until then, love each other and love the movies.